destructive and non-destructive methods. So I'm going to make a directory. Yeah. Oh. I totally spelled that wrong. All right. So you've been working using destructive and non-destructive methods. So a destructive method is a method that actually changes the value of whatever you're working with. So such as, so if we had like an array of people like Ankur, Tom, Chad, like a destructive method that actually changes this function, or I'm sorry, this array would be like array dot push, or is it append? And if I wanted to append, Morgan to it, and I print array, and I do Python destructive. So that actually changes the value of the original array. Whereas like a non-destructive, so can anybody think of a non-destructive method that we kind of went through or used before?
Sort.
Next.
Whoop, I heard sort. So is it just sort? So like array dot sort?
I'm pretty sure that
I think it's sorted, right? Sorted.
Is it sorted like that? So if I run that.
so it's just dot sort.
Like
And
so.
Or you can wrap it in sorted, and that also works.
So array dot sort again is, yep. So array dot sort is not a destructive method. So it's a non-destructive method. And I think there is like what sort, I think that what
Sorted.
That's the one that says sorted. So let's look at that. So again, that is also a non-destructive method.
If you look at it, isn't the sort that sort is destructive, right? Because it changes the array in place.
There. Oh yeah, so yeah, sort is destructive. There we go.
You want to use the sorted method, it'll return a new array. So that's why it's non-destructive.
Yeah, so destructive method is dot sort, and sorted is the non-destructive.
Don't you need to set something equal to the sorted array?
That would be, you would change a new variable. So you'd be defining
Yes.
a new variable. So that's why you would have to do,
Right.
if you're using sorted, you would have to assign it.
Yeah. Otherwise, you just don't ever get anything out. Okay. Thanks.
Yep. So sort is destructive, sorted is non-destructive. What else is, so like name, what else? Lily. So Lily, so name dot like capitalize. If I wanted to print name. So capitalize is a non-destructive method. Does anybody else know of any destructive methods or non-destructive methods?
Would map be non-destructive?
Print,
It'd be non-destructive because you create a new array.
yeah. So like pop would be destructive.
Is it upper destructive?
So upper. So so pop removes I heard upper. So I'll leave that up here. Get rid of these print statements. So name dot upper. Is it name or is it upper? Is that it? Or name dot upper?
It's named all upper.
All right. So if I print name. So name is not, or upper is non-destructive as well.
In Python, strings are never mutable, I think.
Okay, is that,
Same thing in JavaScript.
so name, so all these are non-destructive methods.
Would setting one variable equal to another variable be destructive? Because it's basically, using the old one, kind of changing it.
Yeah, that,
Would it?
so yeah, I'll just change that value. That wasn't intentional. That was just reassigning the value. That wouldn't necessarily be destructive. But yeah, just know that there are just destructive methods and non-destructive methods. Non-destructive methods don't change the value of the variable that you're running the method on. Destructive methods actually change the variable in some manner. What questions do you have about destructive methods and non-destructive methods?
Tom, I have a question.
Yep. Guillermo?
Ideally, when you're dealing with data, you want to avoid mutating the original inputs, right? Is that a good general rule of thumb to follow?
I don't know if it's like a rule of thumb. I think it depends on whatever you're trying to do. But typically, more often than not, yeah, I usually will create a new variable so the original stays intact. So I don't know if it's a rule of thumb. I don't know if it's best practice. Ankur, you'd probably be able to speak to that.
Sorry, what was the question? Should you modify inputs to a function or an application?
I think should you try to avoid mutating inputs if at all possible? I think I read it somewhere, but I didn't know if that was a general consensus.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any hard and fast rule. It kind of just depends on your situation. Usually, if you don't need to create new variables, I don't. It might make your code more clear, but it takes some more memory. So it just depends. Sometimes I do create intermediate variables just to kind of make things a little easier to read. But yeah, I don't have a hard and fast rule for that.
Yeah, I think it just depends on the problem you're trying to solve. All right. So again, destructive methods change the value that you're running the method on. Non-destructive, it doesn't. So just keep that in mind because that does come into play sometimes. Like with the slice and splice, you might think one changes it, or if it returns a new one. You will encounter that at some point in React. But yeah.
If you're doing something that changes the type, does that count as destructive?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, because you're actually changing the original content of what that value is.
But that's only a problem in JavaScript. That's not a problem in Python.
Yeah, I've never seen that. I don't think there's a method that does that. I've never encountered it.